Oh,
Okay, I'm recording.
why don't we record it? Because I did see something when I was looking at how to do it that we need to go through like live producer.
No, we don't. Not from what I did, but like I said, I needed that key,
Okay.
and I don't know if the key changed. So,
Okay. I mean, I can try. Um, somebody can try, either you, me, or Brittany can try to log in through the Facebook page and start it.
it won't connect the same way without that key.
Oh, okay.
And the key, unless it changed, isn't working.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and kick us off then. Sorry I was late, guys. My birds decided that they were not going to go in tonight. They were going to be dinks. So, okay. Did we get anything started yet, Judy? Or I seen Judy's name there.
Nope, I just kind of oriented everybody to what Teams is and how they can come on and off mute and join the conversation as they would like.
Okay. Good deal. Okay. So thanks for joining us on this exploratory mission, guys. This is kind of how it is. I'm trying to change my features so that, yeah. There we go. So anyways, we are going to talk about some record keeping options and stuff tonight. I know everybody's going to come up with their own little method, and everybody's going to have their own ways of wanting to do it. These are just some available tools for you to have on hand as far as for your record keeping, and to maybe make some things easier for you, whether you are more of a digital person, or whether you might be more of a paperwork person, or maybe more like me, who is a paperwork and then sit on it for years and then decide to transfer it over to digital and see how that works out for you. So anyways, I kind of came up with a little bit of a guide outline for us, so I'm not just rambling. One of the first things to starting your record keeping is actually, Brittany, can you pop on to the Facebook page and kind of post that we're to click the link to join, because it's not transferring over to a live on Facebook, please.
I'm on there right now, so.
You're on there now? Okay. Yep. Biggest thing to start off with, especially if you're just starting out, is to make sure to identify along with somehow kind of label your breeders. And if you're starting out with goslings, that's an easy thing to do because you're starting out fresh. If you're like myself and have numerous birds and still trying to figure out how to identify them, besides, oh, this is, this is Dorian, this is Fluff, this is whatever, this is, some easy things to be able to transfer it to further on down the record keeping line, so that, say somebody comes back to you and says, hey, I got a baby from you how many years ago, and I would like to know who their parents were. Or, can I get another bird from you? And then that way you can do your genetic crossing and stuff like that to be able to help them come up with the best bird or the best pairings. So there's several different ways to identify your birds. There's a lot of different ways out there. Many of us tend to lean towards like zip ties, which are pretty easy, but in the very beginning, you might as well just buy stock in zip ties because you're consistently changing them out. I mean, you turn around and the next day you're like, wow, I've got to change that. So I had a thought.
Come on.
I'm sorry.
I have zip ties, but I'm scared to put them on even.
You got to be really kind of careful with them. I always take like the tip of my finger and put in there as well so that they aren't as tight. And then you just have to keep an eye on them as babies. But there's different ways that you can label them as babies as well. Besides just, there's so many colored zip ties out there nowadays. But one of the biggest things that I came up with, along with I've kind of passed on to other people, is using these little beads on the zip ties. All they are is just those jewelry beads, you know, the little plastic beads that girls and stuff make bracelets with. They have so many different colors and they have the alphabet and numbers. I would highly advise using against the wood ones though, because those would just rot and deteriorate. But I have had birds keep these on for years on end, for years. And how I put them on a gosling is basically, you know, I make a big loop like this. This is the leg. And I just barely snug it down and still be able to move it up and down. I put it underneath their dew claw. And especially that first, month, you're checking them almost daily because all of a sudden they can grow. Now, what's nice about those beads is they have the larger holes and the smaller holes, so you can use the little tiny zip ties, or you can use the bigger fat ones and just trim those off. Which those work out just as well. So I had a thought. These are little bandettes that you can get from poultry suppliers. They're the bantam sizes and like the mini bantam type sizes or pigeon size or whatever. And they literally they remind me of those snap bracelets. Remember the snap bracelets that we used to have? They remind me kind of like that, but they're not as elastic. But they just curl around like that. And they have numbers on them, so you can number them. I haven't put any on the babies yet, but Landis has used them. And she said that they're only good for about the first week and a half. I would have thought that they would have expanded a little bit more. And Brittany, you have bantams, don't you? No, I thought you did. But
No.
I would have thought that they would have kind of like, you know, grown with them a little bit. But if nothing else, something like this, and they have so many different sizes of them. So the next show that I'm going to go to, I'm going to get the next size up and see if that helps. But Landis says they're only lasting till about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks old, maybe.
Yeah, they're definitely
another
handy.
way.
But they are quite tight, so the goslings can't chew them off, which is an advantage. And definitely for me, I've got 3 different ganders, so I'm using different colors and numbers to mark who's who until I can identify them myself. But it definitely takes 2 people to kind of stretch them out enough to get them around the foot, and then to get them back off. You definitely need 2 people for that.
Right. So, another way to do it, this is how I mark all my adults, and I can usually put these guys on at about 3 months old. I can usually get them on and not have any issues up with them. They are numbered. And I can usually just bend them out with my fingers They're metal, so they don't, they don't wear away. But you just bend them out and pinch them back on. If you don't have the finger strength to do it, then you can use pliers.
Do you know what size you buy for your adults?
I think these are 11s. And then I have 12s as well for the like my bigger males. But we can provide the links for those. There's a band company called National Band Company, and you can even get custom bands made. Different colors, different numbers, different scenarios, etc., like that. You can get those made. Another way that some people do it, and I've tried it. The only problem is that I forget to go back and check them. Is I use a toe puncher, and what it is it is just a little itty bitty teeny hole punch. And you go through, and I mean, it seems like it's harmful to them because they're crying and screaming, but honest to God, it's more about the fact of you holding them and trying to hold their foot still than actually the punching of them. So you just take the webbing, you go in between. It's best to do it within the first 24 hours. And you can see the veining and stuff like that. It's harder on the colors, like the grays and stuff. You just kind of have to guess. But you just quickly punch it through. And it is literally, this is one of the big, thick number 2 pencils. And it's literally like that. The difference with those is that you have to go through and double check that they didn't scab back over. So sometimes you do have to pull the scab off. Sometimes there's a little bit of blood, but I've never had any problems with it. And you can come up with so many different combinations doing it like that. Figure you got 3 webs or 2 webs, right? Yeah, 2 webs. And you can go all the way down into here, all the way out to here to where you're kind of notching it out both sides. Like last year I was doing 2 on one side and 3 on the other side for 23. At least that way I could keep record of what year they hatched. And as they grow, it looks like somebody just put a nail through their foot. I mean, I had one that I didn't even realize that's what his deal was. I kept saying, "Oh my God, Morgan, it looks like it seriously looks like somebody put a nail through your foot." And then I was introduced to this and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. So there's different ways of identifying your birds. Sometimes you might have to get creative about it. The one thing that I can say that if you do go online and buy bands, I wish that I brought some up, and I thought about it after I got upstairs, is they make these plastic ones that kind of like clip on. They're junk. They are junk. They don't stay on for beans. They almost remind me of like a closure, say like a toolbox closure, the plastic clip that just folds over and that clicks in place. They're junk. So there's different ways to do that, and you'll each come up with your own system. It can get tricky when you have numerous breeding pens. It can get very tricky, and sometimes you got to be really creative.
Easy elastic rings? No.
No, not the elastic rings. Thank you.
That sounds familiar.
Yes, those things are junk. This is Twin City Poultry Supplies. They're at a lot of the shows that we go to. And this is where I get my bands when I go in to them.
So you can see there are lots of options here.
Yeah,
should you
these
want to.
metal ones, they're called the butt end bands, the butt end aluminum bands. They even have numbered and plastic zip ties as well. These little bandettes, that's what these little red ones were called, is the bandettes. And those, like I said, come in multiple different sizes. So
Doesn't
there's
necessarily
that.
specify here. I mean, it gives a number, but it says it's not a reference to anything.
No. So yeah, the 11 through 14 is like what size you'd want for the geese. And he's really, really well versed on it, and he could specifically tell you if you emailed him, hey, what size do I need? If you ever lose it or something like that. He's really a good supplier. But so there's that. The other thing that I suggest to do is in your records, take pictures of each of your birds with their band number. You don't have to have the band or your labeling system or however you're going to do it. I don't have it on this computer, but where's a good reference? Okay, so like this one here, I have her picture, and then I have all this information here. We've got what color band, the band number, what year she hatched, who her dam was, sire was. And then I started down at the bottom, like listing who she was mated with. And then that just kind of fell off the side so that I knew who her matings were each year. But if you're into, and you nowadays with all the electronic stuff, you can still do all of that electronically as well. Spreadsheets are your best friend with some of this stuff. And maybe we can come up with something over the course of however many months it might take us to be able to provide some type of PDF type something, at least to get you started, or, something that we can share if you're not well versed in like spreadsheet stuff. But that's one thing that I do that I can go back and, say, oh, wait, no, that's what that bird looked like, labeling your eggs when you're getting into the production side of it, labeling your eggs is a big thing. I myself, and let me see if I can show it. I myself label my eggs by pen. I have 7 different pens running right now. And I've got like B1 for Buff Pen 1, B2 for Buff Pen 2, FX for Fort Knox. And because I do have helpers helping me, such as my dad and my son, which I don't know if I actually kept it. I don't think I kept it. But I did like a little layout map of my coops and had it labeled on there so that I know, so that they can see which egg came from what pen and label it accordingly. I've got a couple eggs that are marked down there right now, blue. Which one's blue, Dad? Well, the pen right here. No, that's not blue. That's not, because I started to color code them by like the color buckets that I was using. And I'm like, no, that's not even the color that's in there right now. Where do you, that's not even what's there. It's purple even. So, it's helpful. It's helpful.
I've been doing something similar. So I use my ganders name. So I have Dorian, I have Milo, I have Rose. So I just use their first initial, so D, M, or R. I try to speculate which female laid that egg if I have more than one in there, because I collect throughout the day when I rotate them in and out, so I know who's been sitting. And then I tag the date on it as well. When my husband goes and collects eggs, and I keep them in little baskets I got at the dollar store. So like all of Dorian's eggs are together for the week, and Rose's eggs are together for the week, and then When my husband goes and does it, I come into the kitchen and he's taken a paper plate and a Sharpie and just like written the name on it. So, whatever works for you, you'll
I
figure it out.
mean, be thankful that they're helping. Be thankful that they're helping.
Yes.
You got to give I'm sorry, but you got to give the men in our lives credit.
Yes.
At least they try.
Yeah, and I know if I sat down and like explained what I was putting on the egg, he would do it, and that's my bad for not doing it. And I thank him for the paper plate method.
Right. Does anybody else have any other way that they do it or anything else like that? Feel free to jump in, you guys. You can even hit the little chat button on the side so you can type it too. So
I don't have a chat button. Can you hear me?
yeah, hi Judy.
Hey, can I backtrack to the leg bands? If you order from National Band and Tag, it's a size 28.
Oh, good to know.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because I just got my custom ones.
Good deal.
It's 6 weeks to order them, but their sizing is different than what Vic's is at like Twin Cities Poultry.
Okay, like at Twin City or Rogers.
National Band and Tag. You want it to be 7/8 of an inch diameter on the inside.
Thank you for that.
Okay, I'll go back to feeding. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay,
so anyways, yeah, that was really good to know. I didn't know she did that. So yeah, labeling your eggs however you decide to do it, you're going to find your own method. And that's the thing. You're going to each find your own method that works for you or for your setup or whatever. These are again just suggestions. Keeping record of how many eggs you're getting. So for like, and you can even do this with your broody girls. Keep track of how many eggs that you sat, say in the incubator, or how many she's setting on. You can keep track of your fertility rate, your hatch rate, and even the sex if you can auto sex or if you have them DNA sexed. And the dates that they hatched. And there's so many different ways that you can do that. You can literally do like a Google Drive spreadsheet. You can do Excel spreadsheet. You can jot it down on on just a notebook and paper, however you want to do that. But when you talk about like people ask, well, what's your fertility rate? At the end of the year, well, even, halfway through the year, you can give them an idea of what your fertility rate is by doing the math and keeping track of that stuff. It'll also give you ideas of whether or not you're actually having good producing ganders, good producing hens. I know that there's been people out there. Again, we'll go back to this one. Last year, I had crap fertility out of a couple pens. Absolute crap. I just kind of gave up and sat everything, and I never did the math because it was literally just crap. So there's those differences and stuff like that you can figure out. You can figure out your hatch rate by doing that. So just having your base number of how many eggs that you're getting, you're setting, how many eggs your hen is setting on, it's all going to be good for you in the next coming years, because say one year you got a 95% fertility and 100% hatch rate, and then you add a different bird in there or something like that. And next thing you know, say you're down to 95% fertility, but down to say like 50% hatch rate. Something's probably off there. Or, your fertility rate goes down, but your hatch rate improves or something like that. Which way do you go for? Personally, I always tend to lean towards the quality over the quantity. Yes, I incubate everything, but I might just have that one bird that's going to improve my flock hatch. And Landis has got the formula for that. It's easy to do. You just take your set number and
you divide the number of fertile eggs by the number of eggs set or laid, depending on
yeah,
what method you're doing. And then with hatch rate, it would be number of eggs hatched divided by fertile. So I will go ahead and make a little cheat sheet so that nobody has to think about it hard, but we'll get a cheat sheet with the links for the bands and the calculations.
Okay.
So actually, since we're paused for a minute, I just want to make sure, is everybody liking this format a little better?
I just had a message from somebody that they weren't able to watch because they weren't good with apps. And I told them that you didn't need an app to do it, and that we are recording it as well. And it's a trial.
Hey guys, Amy here.
Hey Amy.
Hey Amy.
It's great. Except I wasn't expecting it. I ran in with my pajamas to make dinner, and I'm like thinking we're having. Like, oops.
Well, you don't have to
I'll
use
catch you
camera.
next week
That's
on the camera. No, but it's great, and I hear you, and it's really clear.
Excellent. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
I will get the Facebook piece connected. I don't know why it's not doing that. I actually suspect that part of it has to do with, and that was some of the confusion today, was I set up the meeting. I'm on currently Pacific time. My computer keeps trying to throw me into Mountain time. And of course, we want the meeting set for Eastern Standard. So I think maybe that's some of the dynamics. I apologize for all of it. We'll continue to work it out. But if you like this, we'll continue to do this.
Yeah, no, it's great. But I'm on my phone. I don't have my computer set up. We moved recently. But anyhow, it did make me do an app, and the app was no big deal. It connected me right through. It did.
Okay.
Yeah, so on my phone, it'll say a little app, but it was easy, and it directed me through and then asked for permissions, and here I am. So it's not hard. And I'm bad at that stuff. And it was easy.
Well, and we declared Judy wasn't good at it either, and she's here too, so. So it's good that we've got confirmation from two of you. Thank you.
Yay! That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't have buttons to type.
What was that, Judy?
I don't have buttons to type questions. There's nothing of that on my screen.
Well, you shouldn't. I mean, you should. There's a way to get to the chat. I'll find it for you, but just pop in and say something. I mean, that's the advantage of doing this, is we can actually converse.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you.
This is much better because on the Facebook thing, I had a really hard time hearing Laura all the time. I had to hold it right up to my ear, even on speaker. I couldn't hear it, but this is much better.
Perfect.
Okay. Anyways, thanks guys. Yeah, because we are on a timeline with this one, so we are going to have to stay a little bit on track. We might be able to adjust the times as needed in the future. So anyways, keeping record of your eggs, marking your babies. Again, that goes back to any identifier that you use to mark your babies. At this point, probably the easiest thing to do would be the zip ties. I'm going to give these guys a little bit of a try, maybe stretch them out a little bit, see if they give a little bit more, because I stretched this one out quite a bit, and it's still So I don't know.
And
I don't
they
know.
will
I
get
mean, it's
brittle,
just a
too.
hard,
They bend.
yeah,
Like a crease.
yeah. But so maybe we can come up and, I mean, I'm willing to try different kinds and different styles and stuff like that to see what we can come up with. That might be easier for the ones that are hesitant on using zip ties. So, and Mary Jane is, I've seen her pop in and out. And she messaged me. Okay. So, color coding, that is in addition to any type of thing that you do. I'm a color coder, so it makes it easier for me to color code things rather than numbers. And then also any type of paper, anything that you use, you can color code those as well. I mean, you got so many different color items that you can use. And these are just some thoughts that I went through last night with Landis on to kind of keep track of things. Okay. Now, in conjunction with keeping track of your breedings, your hatches, your goslings, your fertility, etc., like that, this is something that even that Landis and Brittany can attest to with me, is keeping track of who you sell goslings to or birds to, and who you may have gotten birds from. I was going through all of my papers and I found where I had gotten, I sold a girl to Brittany, and I was going through all my papers and I'm like, oh my God, I found who her parents were, because I had wrote on this paper who her parents were, or at least suspected parents, because I think she was out of a trio. And with that, I'm going to kind of sidetrack a little bit, especially with all the Karens and the Kens nowadays. I don't know if Ken's the word that everybody's using, but with all the Karens and the Kens and stuff like that these days, the biggest thing that I can say is, as a breeder and anybody that has ever bred anything else or sold any type of product or anything like that, please be cautious and be aware of protecting yourself. When I say that, and I'm sure that others can attest to this as well, you sold me a gosling and oh my God, now it's sick. Or it this or it that or whatever. So just be wary and protect yourself. I myself, I have a document that I created that I print out, and I have people sign it. And this was before I met Brittany. I even had before actually knowing who Brittany was, but I actually had her sign this agreement. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're the first one that I've ever seen do anything like this. And here is the agreement that I have created. Let me zoom into it a little bit. And basically, it states that the agreement acknowledges the purchase of so many Sebastibles for breeding purposes after the first year. Second line should be brought in as they're bred. goslings are either unsexed or vent sexed, and I circle one of those. If vent sexed, seller offers no guarantee of sex because sometimes I have been and I can be wrong. Also, this acknowledges that all goslings are in good health and body condition when leaving the premises of the breeder. And this comes in to where your identifiers are. You can put your, band color, band number, whatever. I wrote in here before sexed, female, vented, or, DNA color and that information. Any other information I have put in here, such as I've put in here before I had one with a broken bill or broken beam. And I put that in there. I had one the day before the lady was supposed to come and pick it up that decided to fall out of the pool. I seen her fall out of the pool, so she had a slight limp. I did put that type of stuff in there. And then my name, purchaser, print, email, city, state, and dated. So there is that. And it was, it's been a really helpful tool because I've had to use it a couple of times, not often, but I have had to use it. And it was even that form there that I was able to tell Brittany, hey, I know exactly who your girl came from, and stuff. And I also send a copy of it with the purchaser as well. And Brittany did a transport for me, so she signed as the other person because she was the one that was taking those goslings out of my hands. Does anybody else do anything like that? Or does anybody else want me to share that with them so that they can come up with their own?
I would love if you'd share it. That'd be awesome.
Okay, I can do that. Very easy to use. Okay. So this is where it's gonna get just a little bit more in depth, and hopefully we can kind of get through this. Brittany, have you played with Kintrax at all yet?
A little bit. It's
A little bit.
not
Okay.
easy on my Mac, but PC it's super easy.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, there is this online program per se. And Landis, I think you might be able to share it a little bit better, but I'm not sure. I've got a couple of documents like already opened. But there's this online program that you download onto your computer. They do not have a mobile version of it yet. But it is a record keeping for pretty much any animal that you want to use. No, not yet.
Okay, let me try again.
For any animal that you want to use, and you can even create pedigrees with it. And I can show you a sample pedigree as soon as I get it opened here. So this is okay. Am I sharing yet?
No.
No? Okay. So share window. There we go. So this is a sample pedigree that we've got. This is for Landis's gray boy that she got off of me. Is that showing you guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry,
And
my
you
Kintrack's locked
can,
up, so I'm reopening it.
it's okay. Well, I got this saved as a PDF on my computer, so. But this goes all the way back. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4 generations? Or is that 5? So there is that you can do with it. And it is really, really cool. And I've already got Kintrax open, so I got it, Landis.
Okay.
And then, excuse me. So I'll just do a quick overview. Callista, here's Dorian's right here.
We're
Okay.
still seeing the
So oops.
you might need to reshare.
Yep. I'm just gonna share my screen. Okay. Can you see that now?
Yep.
Okay. So this is Dorian again. And you can enter all types of information in here. And it's easy to do. You can add his father, mother. This is where some of that record keeping come in. Breeder. The status of the bird. You can add custom fields, notes, awards, heat cycles, which really don't do us a lot of good, but photos, the health of the animal. It can keep track of your finances. It has like and I don't know how accurate it is for this as far as a inbreeding coefficient, calendars. You can create like a cage or pen number. I mean, all types of different things that, I mean, you can get in here like, I've got Barb's birds in here, who I sold birds to, who the other birds came from, just all sorts of different things in there. But that can also be done pretty easily by, whatever. They have chicken journals out there and stuff that you can buy. Just know that it's going to be a little bit different for chicken. I see a lot of things for game fowl and for pigeons that might be helpful as well. So that's a little Kintrax tutorial, and we can go in depth into that a little bit more. Yeah. Like maybe on a different something if anybody's interested in that. And the program's called Kintrax. Again, like I said, maybe we can put some things up on the website. Maybe we can do just a blank PDF pedigree if anybody's interested in that stuff. And then we talked about the fertility rate and hatch rate. We can put that formula basically online. So again, each of you will come up with your own little record keeping system, however you decide to do it. I probably have way too many papers floating around, and I'm trying to get that paperwork condensed. So Amy, I think you missed the whole Kintrax thing, didn't you?
I'm not touching any more buttons. I lost you guys. I was trying
It's okay.
It allows you to save the screen, And so I was trying to navigate through that. Then it asked for permission, which took me away from you. And anyhow, sorry, I won't touch anything till I figure it out.
Yeah, we definitely got to figure out how to do this, like on the Facebook Live. So, we went through kind of a Kintrax thing as far as where you can put in all this different information and it will calculate it for you. You can do pedigrees, etc., like that. And maybe we can do something like a later on type of thing as far as an invite, as far as kind of going through for anybody. And there's a couple, there's a couple other different programs out there. But I find that Kintrax seems to be the easiest. Brittany says that she has a hard time with it on her Mac. Brittany, what do you think the biggest difference is with the Mac as far as?
It's probably because it's my work computer and it doesn't want me to download stuff.
Oh, well, yes, that probably answers that question.
It's user error. It's not anything else.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it's got the because it's got the download or the downloads for what is it? Windows 7, 8, 11, Linux, Mac, and I think there was something else. I don't know if there is something else, but it seems like there was something else. And it once you figure out how to actually like add, if you're just starting out, it's going to be so much easier for you than trying to go back through and add stuff in. But that's where it's helpful, to have papers. I mean, it took me quite a while to get all of Barb's birds in there, but I think I've got pretty much all of Barb's birds in there. So, does anybody have any questions?
Ultimately, my goal is to get the data from Laura as well, and then kind of make like a master database that we can then share, like building our own little goose ancestry. That's a little bit of a
you
stretch,
got some,
but it's
you got some big aspirations, woman. Some big aspirations. That is all you.
I know.
All you.
It's my passion.
All you.
Outside of geese. That includes them.
And crafts. So
yeah, this.
Brittany, do you have anything that you'd like to add that maybe you've seen throughout the, some of your different things that you've seen and stuff? Or come across or anything? I mean, with all the places that you guys have gone and stuff through the Livestock Conservancy when you worked with them?
I mean, it's just lots. Just remember to write everything down.
You can go back through and organize it later.
Tools work for you. I mean, we can make recommendations, but Laura's a paper person. I used to be a paper person. I have moved to doing a lot more on the computer. It's, but you can lose things on computer, so you do want to keep backups. So, just try it, and then every year you're going to tweak it and make changes and figure out what works best for you. And then we're obviously here to share kind of our experiences as well.
Exactly. And it does help to hear the input from you guys, like Judy's, input about the National Band Company. I didn't have any idea that it was a different size.
Yeah.
And stuff. So
I've used the metal baits because mine come from NPIP. They're all NPIP tested, and they pull them off. So, zip ties are crucial.
I've had, I think since I've been using these metal bands like this for the last couple of years, I think I've only had 2 lose them. But then I'll go through, when I'm picking up the birds, showing them and stuff like that, I'll just double check their bands. Oh, another good idea. I just thought about this. So I don't know how many of you have ever looked at like the backside, the butt end of your goose, but I pick mine up like a football and stick their head through here. So you got their arse pointing out at you. If you use anything with numbers and letters, make it easy on yourself and put them on upside down. So that when you pull their leg out like this, you're reading numbers or letters the right way instead of going, what number is that? That was, something that I figured out. It's a little useful tool. I do have to say that a couple of my first bands that I put on, the color's starting to wear off of them, but I can still see the engraving of the number. And I might actually try to get myself another little Dremel so that I can go back through and like kind of re-engrave it. And remember too that if you do lose a band, to try to figure out what bird that came from and put it back on so that all your records stay the same, or you go through and you change your record to whatever that new whatever seems to be. I've had that happen before, and it was like, where'd that come from? Who'd that come from?
If you're using Kentrax and you use the tag or the band number field in there, it will tell you if you've duplicated.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I always take my bands off of any birds that I sell.
Yeah.
And then that way I can go back through and either reuse them or just like put them out of service, essentially. Birds that I've lost, I hang their bands on my pens, like a little memorial wall type thing. I do have to say I did forget Callistas, but that's okay. That's okay. And then of course you're going to have those birds that you're just going to be able to eyeball and say, oh, you're so-and-so. Yeah. So, but does anybody else have anything else to add? Or any questions or anything?
I saw Amy go off mute, but I didn't hear her.
Yeah, neither did I.
I was just thinking to myself, I have 2 birds and 1 gosling. So right now it's kind of funny, but I get it. In hindsight for this year, if I could have a do-over, you guys have helped so much with just 3 birds. And so I'm thinking,
anything we can do to help.
No, I brought Belle off the nest and she's doing so good. So that was a huge thing for me that she's healthy now. Her feet were pale and she just wasn't herself. And in 2 days, it's as if she forgave me, doesn't really notice the difference, and she's happy. And I was guilting over it so hard for 2 days. But anyhow, she needed it. She's healthier now. She looks so good. So
that's good.
That's a big
That's really good to hear. I'm glad that we can help. I'm glad. I mean, that's the biggest reason that we're here. That's the biggest reason that the club is here, is to help everybody and try to bring everybody together to share all this knowledge. Yeah. So
great. Well, if goose math is like duck math, I have 20 ducks, and oh my goodness, I know what's coming.
No, it's worse. It's like chicken math.
Oh no.
It is. It seriously is.
I had 3 when I moved
The
into
ducks
this
will be
house, and I
leaving
have
in
18 now.
Oh
just a few
gosh,
years.
I see how though.
Well, I
always thought that I'd never get over 20.
Yeah, I swore I wasn't going over 10. Like, I was like, double digits, we're done.
That doesn't include what you have in your
sunroom. Huh?
That doesn't include what you have in your sunroom, does it?
No, it does not. 6 more hatched.
You know what I've been following you all on Facebook and not really. I'm just starting to figure out which person goes with which breeder with which, I'm barely starting this, but I have been seeing all the problems with people stealing photos and people trying to take birds for bed. That's the stuff that I want to be smart about because I love my birds and I can't even imagine trying to be a breeder and sell them right now. There's so much to know.
Years
so
ago,
yeah.
years ago, we actually had problems where there was birds that would come up missing. Like people would say there was one lady years ago that she posted that she was going to the hospital with her husband for the day for some surgical procedure or something like that and came back and her birds were certain birds or all of her birds were gone. Things were out of place, like somebody had been on her property and took her birds. And that happened more than once over, I think it was like a good 2-year time span, a couple years ago. And I even had a freaky thing happen. I thought it was the kid that was helping me with chores, just messing with my head. And I had a grand total of, I think, like 14 birds. And I've got my pens side by side, and they're all separated by fencing that I know there's no way they could have gotten through. No way they could have gotten over. And I had like my grays in the front, and my whites in the back, or something like that. All gates were closed and everything else like that. But every single gray was in the back, and every single white was in the front. Tell me somebody wasn't on my property. So, I mean, it is scary. It is because, and the other aspect of that, these birds don't go for cheap, or at least good quality birds don't go for cheap. And the biggest thing is just use basically like your internet safety tools, don't give way to like, being gone for weekends or whatever, people know that if I'm going to a show that somebody's here usually. So, I don't worry about that so much because I do have somebody that can be here. But just know that I like with the breeder listings and stuff like that. No, the only thing that's getting put on there is your city and your state. And if you want more than that, that's at your own risk.
Makes sense.
So, yeah, it does. And it's freaky. It's scary because unfortunately there's no way to like 100% lock these guys up, like under lock and key.
Well, I can. So, I have very little property.
Right. And you've got neighbors too.
Like, I have locks on my gates. I have locks on the pen. I have locks on the sunrooms. And I have a big ass dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I only have a quarter acre, so I don't have the luxury that most of you have with more land and freedom to run.
Yeah. Sorry, something popped up on the trail cam. So
we're
I'm
good.
like,
we should shut it down because we're gonna.
Yep. They're probably gonna kick us off of it since we only scheduled for an hour.
It hasn't fired off the warning yet, but let's just keep that in mind and kind of create this habit.
Right. So good deal. All right. All right. We'll get some links posted. We'll get some photos posted and some documents, and we'll go from there, you guys. Thank you for joining us as always. We'll come up with the next topic. Thank you. Good night.